Hey, it's your girl Carmel, Coach Carmel to be exact. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another interview on where are we? The CFIT coaching, right? This I was about to say savvy solutions, but we're not exactly doing savvy solutions right now. Why? Because I have somebody backstage waiting to meet you, and I know you're gonna love meeting her. So what it is that the two of us we're peers. We share the same coach. So we are being trained in a certification course in order to come to you with all this fabulous information that we do, and so that we're properly trained on how to run a business. Maybe I'm giving too much information, but it's all good because we found that we're speaking the same language, she and I. And she's, of course, coming from a different background with different perspectives and a different lifestyle, but the same lifestyle. You're going to see in a second. So I'm going to bring her up without further ado. Meet Nifiah Reid. Come on up, Nifiah.
Hey, everybody. Hey, CFIT family.
Yeah, oh, thank you. Yes, they're here, they're paying attention, they're watching. And I love to bring other people to my channel so that the folks who watch me can get a different perspective and basically make a decision on their own who they want to listen to, because I am not talking about I am right and nobody go anywhere. I'm just kind of like, listen, we all need to take part in really learning about health and what health means to us, because health is such an ambiguous term. Nobody really knows what does healthy mean. People eat, from the kids meal at Burger King and think, no, I'm healthy because I'm eating the kids meal, right? So let's talk a little bit about it. So first of all, Nifiah, I want you to introduce yourself and tell the good folks that are watching. Thanks, folks who are watching. What Tell them where you come from, how you ended up being in this whole food plant-based space, and what living truth means to you. So I'm gonna give it to you.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. I kind of needed this recharge to be rubbing shoulders virtually next to a peer to get my spirits up. But a little bit about me. I am a registered nurse by license and practice for nearly 20 years. I have been in the healthcare space overall for about 20 years. I worked all over. I mean, from the lowest nursing job you could think of to the highest, and ICU for the majority of the time. And in the ICU, I believe that's where where my mind started to change. And I'm thinking, why do we have all of these sick people here? And it was sick young people. We got to do something about this. We really got to do something about this. So it was always in the back of my mind. I just didn't know what to do. Years pass. I go to get my terminal degree as a doctorate as a nurse practitioner, and I get a physical. I'm practicing, I'm caring for patients. I'm seeing all of these patients who have a lot of lifestyle diseases, such as obesity, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, just to name a few of the lifestyle diseases that I was seeing every single day. And I go and get myself checked out. And sure enough, I am pre-diabetic. I'm about 30 pounds, 25 to 30 pounds overweight. I have high cholesterol. I have depression. I have all of this stuff going on. And I was just shocked. I didn't feel like I was unhealthy. I knew I was a little bit bigger, if you will, than I normally was, but I didn't look unhealthy. And I didn't truly, if you will, feel unhealthy. I was suffering migraine headaches and sleeplessness and things like that. But when that blood work came, I was nearly type 2 diabetic and high cholesterol. It was really a shock to my system. And I knew I had to do something about it. And so I started to research, what could I eat different? What could I do different? As a healthcare provider, I say this all the time. And if you follow me on YouTube, you've heard me say your healthcare providers are the sickest, some of the sickest people, because we're caring for other people and not really caring for ourselves. So in that time of me figuring out how I'm going to heal, I didn't want to stand in front of people and wave my proverbial finger in their face, telling them what they needed to do when I was just as sick as them, or even sicker in some cases. And so I just started to research what I could do to heal myself, because Western medicine, what my doctor had prescribed me, was not working. I was not doing it. That, long story short, that led me to growing my own food, adopting a plant-based diet, a vegan diet, and maybe me and Carmel can get into that on another session. But I adopted a vegan diet, and I wasn't healing. So we'll talk about why I wasn't healing on just a vegan diet. And then I adopted a whole food plant-based diet. I've been whole food plant-based now for about 8 years. No diagnoses whatsoever, no high cholesterol, no pre-diabetes. I am the strongest, the fastest, and the fittest I've ever been. Right now, I'm a little underweight because I injured myself. And so I'm not pumping my weights as I normally do. I'm underweight for me. I'm at a healthy weight, you all. But I had a goal of getting to a weight of like 125 pounds, all muscle. And I'm still only at like 110. So I'm at a healthy weight. Don't get it twisted. But I haven't reached my goal yet of that muscle weight I really want. But that's a little bit about my story. And I'm just glad it's been such a benefit from me changing my lifestyle overall to get to where I am now.
Girl, your story is so powerful. And I think you should lead with that a little bit more. The fact that I loved what you said, some like your health, more than likely your healthcare provider is sicker than, like, as sick as you or sicker, right? And your story is a little bit like mine. I was not in the healthcare space, don't get me wrong. But I was in the fitness space. Came up with as pre-diabetic, high cholesterol, and fatty liver disease. All 3 diagnoses at one time. And unlike you said that you were a little bit overweight. You could tell. I wasn't. I was at a really good weight. I had muscle tone, and I was training people with fitness and walking around sick. So with that, there's an integrity piece that comes along with that too, right? You're a health provider, I'm a fitness provider, and we're both walking around with diabetes and high cholesterol. Like, girl. Okay, so there's a few things that you said. You were a nurse practitioner. And by the way, FYI, I love nurse practitioners. Every time I walk into a doctor's office and a nurse practitioner walks in, I'm like, I'm going to be heard today. Doctors, I feel don't hear you. Nurse practitioners hear you. So folks, anybody who's listening, do yourself a huge favor. If you ever get a chance to work with a nurse practitioner, jump on it. So Nifiah, thank you for what you do. And thank you for what you do as a whole food plant-based vegan. That's golden. So whoever gets you as their healthcare provider, they're not even going to realize how lucky they are. But I digress.
Well, and it's funny that you talk about me being a nurse practitioner. I stepped away from the bedside while I was sick. And then as I progressed through this, I really wanted to shut the door on it, period. Like I didn't want anything to do with Western medicine. I'm like, we're just doing this so wrong. And honest to goodness, if I'm being transparent, it has just been lately where I don't think I understand this. And Carmel said that we're in the same program where we are learning to save people's lives through whole food plant-based nutrition and build businesses at the same time. I wanted to shut the door on everything, but it was lately when I realized this is your gift. And you don't have to let this go to do what you do. This is going to allow you to really change the narrative. And that's what you've always said, that you wanted to really change the narrative. You wanted to disrupt the status quo of healthcare. So if you leave it, you may not be able to do that. Inside you have the opportunity to do it a little more.
Right. Then you'll lose that voice. You'll lose that platform from which you can speak. Because Nifiah, I got to tell you, many times when I'm suggesting things to my clients, I feel like I don't have that sturdy platform because I'm not a healthcare professional. I have no formal training in healthcare. So they're probably like, Who are
But
you?
let's clarify, you don't need it. You have a great foundation.
I get that part. I get that part. And many people do because I have clients who really trust me.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have that platform that I've studied something, people tend to listen more, even though you don't agree with that status quo, even
Right.
though you don't agree with what they're teaching you, and you're like, I've been taught wrong. Oh, and you're
Let
good.
me get this light back on. Continue.
Okay, yeah. And even though you've realized that you've been taught wrong, and now you're kind of like you probably felt like you were living one way, and then going into your clients preaching something else.
Yes. Yes.
So it's like I'm whole food plant based, but I'm going over there like not writing prescriptions or making these suggestions, and it's kind of like, wait a second, there's a disconnect.
There is a, and there was a disconnect because I was doing something for myself that I could not always prescribe to my patients.
Yeah,
And, they didn't always understand it. And
yeah.
still, even to this day, when people are like, oh, what are you doing? And how did you do this? I still get the pushback of, oh, that's too hard. I could never do that. I could never do that. And I'm like, oh, yes, you can.
Yes, you can. And Nifiah, I really feel like it's through the education and the literacy piece, right?
Mhm.
Now, when I look at, I was addicted to sugar,
Oh.
and I call myself a recovering addict because sometimes it still calls my name. But
Mhm.
when it calls my name, it doesn't shout like it used to. Now it whispers, and I'm able to ignore it because I look at it and I'm like, ew, you're gonna do X, Y, Z in my body. You're gonna
Right.
F up my pancreas, my insulin's gonna go up, and you're gonna just accumulate fat around my organs, and no, I
Mhm.
don't want to, right? So I can kind of like look at the different foods, ultra processed foods here, meat products here. I don't demonize meat products, but and I try not to demonize any foods. I just try to make a highlight of what that particular food is doing in my body.
Right, right. And
Yeah.
talking about the addiction, I can so relate to you. I was a big food addict and a big sugar addict. I'm highly addicted to sugar. But as we know, and a lot of people don't know, they don't know how harmful sugar is to you, and that it works on the same receptors as any illicit drug that you would be using. So if you uh, snorted cocaine or did heroin or any other drug, those same receptors are the receptors that sugar work on. So when you ingest sugar, your mind gets that same dopamine hit and you're like, oh, that was good. I want that. I want some more of that. And it tricks you in so many different ways, thinking that you're not hungry. The biggest thing is that like sugar and salt, and it injures our taste buds so
Mhm.
severely that
Mhm.
we don't think anything else tastes good unless
Mhm.
it's full of sugar. But
Mhm.
yeah, I like you, highly addicted to sugar. It was awful. I was that person. And I think I told you when we talked previously, I would had candy in my nightstand drawer so bad I would wake up and eat the candy and go back to sleep.
Incredible. Me, I would have candy in the car, like lots of candy. If I was hungry, I would forfeit lunch and eat my
Hmm.
candy.
Hmm.
And I'm the girl at the wedding who just had her cake, went and got another piece of cake from the bus boys or whoever's cleaning up, and I'm just sitting there kind of like, Nifiah, you can eat the rest of your.
I get it. That was me. I wasn't a huge like cake and cookie person. Candy.
Candy.
Oh
Girl,
my
I was all of it. I was cookies and candies and cake and chocolate. I would put the sugar in already sweetened iced tea. I was like, put the sugar in my already sweetened milk from the cereals.
God.
I was like, I need more.
Yeah.
I need more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're now that we're through that and we can see it, we can laugh about it, but it's such a serious matter. If you think about our children now and the things that they're eating, Not even just the children, but the children who can't make a decision on their own. Their parents are buying the things that are full of the sugar because they don't know better. But just the things that are in the grocery store that we consume that you don't even realize sugar is in. So you might not be eating white sugar or processed sugar or the pink, blue, and yellow packets, as we call them in our ecosystem. You might not intentionally be eating those, but those sugars are in so many things you are eating. The sugar alcohols, it's still sugar,
Sugar. And there's sugar in peanut butter, there's sugar in our pasta sauces, even say more savory foods, there's sugar in those foods. I remember my signature meal or my signature treat to bring to like let's say a football Sunday, like what do they call those? I'm not
The tailgate.
The what?
The tailgate party?
No, the NFL, Super Bowl.
Super Bowl. Okay.
People don't come at me because I don't partake in Super Bowl parties anymore because they just bad news when it comes to my eating. But my signature thing to make was honey barbecue chicken wings.
Okay.
Honey, brown sugar. Cook it. And then once it's all cooked and thick with all the sugar, I put some more honey on it.
so
I was making it for my palate, but I was bringing it to these things, to these functions, and people were already kind of like, oh, like your appetite's already open. So they're like, this is good. It was a mess, hot mess.
Yeah. And see, like I am a plant-based chef, but even before I had the title chef, the official title, I was a good cook. And in Thanksgiving, Christmas, in our culture, you got everything, the sweet potato pie, the sweet potatoes, all of the cakes and all of that stuff. So I've always been a cook. And
so when you were a cook, before you became whole food plant-based, were you cooking all of those things? You were?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and just what you're saying, all of the sugar and the butter and the oil and some more sugar and all of that, not knowing that truly we love to feed our family. That's a love language. In many communities, but especially the Black community, not knowing that I was slowly killing my family. Not love. Food is a love language in our culture, but I wasn't really showing love. I didn't know that then, but I was slowly poisoning.
You love the way you knew how.
Exactly.
So since I became, you're 8 years plant-based, I'm 3 years plant-based. And since then, every time I go out and I'm choosing a restaurant, I'm choosing whatever we're eating, I'm choosing plant-based. I've made that decision with myself. No longer will I cater to somebody else's lifestyle. Now if I'm the one who's making the decision, you're eating what I eat because I love you. I'm feeding myself this because I love me and I care about what happens to the food in my body. I care what happens to my body. So I'm going to treat you with that same type of integrity and love, right? Exactly. So this past year when I celebrated my birthday, I had a big birthday party, invited everybody out, catered whole food, plant-based foods. And the caterer even offered me kind of like the fake meats. I said, nope, I want all whole foods. So was there salt, oil, and sugar in it? Yes. Everybody should understand that we are SOS free. We are salt, oil, and sugar free. I practice that. I believe in it. And that's what helped me really curb my cravings and come to the other side of the sugar addiction and reverse my prediabetes. So that's just a side note. But, and I did not have any soda. One of my cousins called and said, you cannot have a party with no soda and no soft drinks. I said, I refuse to feed the people that I love, the people who are coming out to celebrate my birthday, to celebrate me because they love me. I'm not feeding them diabetes. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. So what did I have? I had water and I did have wine, but I made sure that I really sourced that wine. It was good wine, quality wine, and nobody's going to be drinking wine like they drink soda.
Right.
So those were the only two beverages I had. And guess what? Most people opted for the water.
Yeah.
Nobody. And I warned everybody. I said, listen, you're coming. I'm a little extra with this. If you have to understand what type of party you're coming to. So you're coming because you love me. And the food was really good.
Yeah,
really
of course it is.
Yeah. So I love what you said. But talk to me about this chef thing. So do you cook as a whole? Are you a chef of whole food plant-based?
Whole food plant-based chef. And so I for a while I was doing meal prep for people. Of course, I cook my own food, and I did that so I could learn how to cook differently for me to make the food taste good and learn different things. Because like you said, we cook the way we were brought up to cook and how we were taught to cook. And so I'm thinking, well, how I like sweet potatoes, but how do I make them good without, the brown sugar and and even though those things are vegan, I could still eat, yams with sugar and all the fake butter and stuff, but that's no good. That's no good for you. I could still eat that if I wanted to. But
so tell us, how do you make your sweet potatoes then?
So just sweet potatoes. Sometimes now I don't need that amount of sugar anymore. Yeah. So when I do sweet potatoes, I do dates, and every now and then I will put agave, but regular sugar or excessive amount of any type of sweetener is too sweet for me now.
Yes,
I just can't. Now that my palate is healed, I can't tolerate that anymore. And it just tastes weird to me.
Yeah. I just use the cinnamon on my sweet potato, and it really brings out the sweetness. Mm-hmm. Now, for some people whose palate is accustomed or desensitized to all of this, they're going to be like, oh no, that's definitely not enough flavor. But I love that you said that, because it kind of brings up the fact that once we're able to release that sugar, our palates adjust. Yes. So never, I don't want people to feel like I will never enjoy food again. That's not what happens. Our body is here to take care of us. Our body is here to make sure that we enjoy life. And one of the fundamentals of what we have here to enjoy is food. Mm-hmm. So our palates are like, oh no, I got you. Just stay off the stuff for 3 days, maybe a week or 2. I got you. You're going to be enjoying food the same way that you did before. And I do.
It's actually better. Some things just taste better. Growing up, we would put meat in the greens. And I never really ate the meat in the greens, but I never liked the taste of them.
Yeah.
And now, once I grew up and learned how to cook them myself, I'm just like, these are so much better without meat and fat in them. It doesn't have that fatty taste.
Yeah. You get the idea, not even the idea that I'm finally tasting food.
Yes.
I'm finally tasting food, and it doesn't have to be masked with meat flavors and sauces and extra sugar and extra salt. I'm actually tasting the food.
Mm-hmm. And that's what happens. That's exactly what happens. Things before where I would Brussels sprouts, I like them, but I'm just like, nobody wants to eat that. I eat Brussels sprouts as a snack regularly. Right now, I probably have about 5 pounds in my refrigerator. I'm not joking. I could take my camera and show you. I just eat them as a snack. I cut them up and throw them in the air fryer or the oven, and I just eat them.
So good. It's so good. I'm like that with a lot of foods. It's kind of like anybody would come over and watch me eat. They'd be like, that is weird. Why do you like bland food? And it's not bland.
It's not bland. It's just that the taste buds have been injured so severely that you can't taste the goodness.
But it can your damaged taste buds can reverse and fix
They can reverse. They absolutely
you have to give yourself a chance. Yeah. But most people, Nifiah, especially those who are addicted, cannot last the 3 days that it'll take to really give themselves a chance to taste food, to reverse those cravings. 3 days is a long time. 3 hours was a long time for me. An hour and a half was a long time for me. I remember watching the clock saying, "Oh my God, I just ate and I really need something to eat again." And not only did I need something to eat again, but each of my meals had a sweet component to it.
Wow.
There was always something sweet in it. If it wasn't the food itself, it was a candy bar that I was eating afterwards, or it was even the apple, but that was healthy. That was the what I did for the healthy aspect.
How
But
did you combat that? Like, how did you eventually combat the need to have something sweet with everything?
well, I went on a really serious hiatus from eating it. Let's just say I was diagnosed with something. You know, I haven't mentioned this live yet, but I plan on eventually candida,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And in order to combat it, because I didn't want to be on those what do you call those
Antibiotic.
antibiotics, thank you, for so long, because I know what it does to your gut. I did, and mind you, let me tell you something. I changed to a whole food plant-based vegan pretty much overnight, and within 3 or 4 days, I was just like, I haven't craved any sugar. I haven't craved any chocolate. This is amazing. And it was because I filled my body up with so much nutrition, Nifiah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that I didn't miss it. My cravings were actually being met even before I had a craving, because
Right.
I had, like, fruits and vegetables, they have sugar. So that craving was being met. The energy wise, calorie wise, it was all being met. But because sugar still called my name, I just didn't have any cravings. But if I saw that piece of cake, it looked good to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I had and I indulged. Eventually, I came back to sugar. Although I was whole food plant based, I was
Mm-hmm.
still whole food plant based. I still needed my sugar, vegan cakes, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Then I came down with a serious bout of candida. And when it wasn't going away, even with the antibiotics, I said, something's got to give, because not only is this uncomfortable, but it's quite frankly disgusting for
Mm-hmm.
me. I did not feel comfortable with it. It wasn't, it wasn't, that wasn't the proudest moment of my life. So what I did was I adapted an anti-candida diet.
Okay.
And when I told my nurse practitioner, who I love, when I told her what I was doing, she says, "Wow, we don't even suggest that diet because it's so hard for people to adhere to." But for me, it was easier because I was already whole food plant based.
Right.
It took out a lot of the things, Nafaya. Now, you say that, you encourage vitality through nutrition,
Mm-hmm.
and during those months when I did, during those few weeks, it took me about 4 weeks on the anti-candida diet to finally get rid of it. Um, I was taking almost no carbohydrates. Why? Because carbohydrates turn into sugar in your body.
Mm-hmm.
I was taking almost no carbohydrates. I'm a runner like you.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember going out for a run and thinking, oh my God, I have no energy. That's because I wasn't eating my carbs. So
Mm-hmm.
for all of you guys who think that carbohydrates is the devil, I'm not going to eat my carbs because I want to lose weight, that is your energy. And I was so lacking. I was lacking so much in carbohydrates. I had no energy for my runs. And so for those 4 weeks, I conquered the candida. I conquered it.
Awesome.
And on the other side of it, I got my energy back. I
Mm-hmm.
started training for a fitness competition. And guess what? I'm on the other side of that addiction, baby.
See, there it is. But you had to work through that, and you talk about what I do. So, living truth, as you can see on the screen, that stands for living an intentional life of vitality through nutrition. And as Carmel just mentioned, we both are runners. And when I started running, I was running 5Ks, 10Ks, slow, super slow. And I still don't run super fast. I'm not going to act like I run super fast, but I can run longer and better with more energy. And so I came up with this name, this moniker, if you will, living an intentional life of vitality through nutrition. Just like Carmel just talked about, you make intentional decisions on being well, on being healthy. And I had to do the same thing she did. I had to intentionally make decisions not to eat things that were harmful to me. So to this day, you all, my children, I have 3 adult children, 2 grandchildren.
What?
It's the plants, y'all.
The power of the plants, baby. The power of the plants. What? I'm still surprised.
And so they come and they're like, oh, there's never any snacks in this house. And I'm like, there are plenty of snacks. We got cashews in there. You know, we have pumpkin seeds. It's chia pudding in there. They're like, it's no chips. It's no candy. I'm like, it's even fresh fruit popsicles. And they're like, nobody wants that. But for me, intentionality meant I know me. Yeah. I was a junk food junkie. I was so addicted. Potato chips, still to this day, are my arch nemesis. So if I'm somewhere and I may not eat what is served, but if they have potato chips, I'm anxious because I'm like, oh, I just want those Lays, or I want, you know.
It gets very distracting when the stuff that you're addicted to around. You're like, that's all I can think about.
Distracting is the word. It like if I'm at a meeting or something and I saw those chips, I'm like, oh, I really want those chips. And I have to intentionally say, you might want them, but you don't need them, and you're not going to feel good after you eat them, and you're going to regret it. So when I go to the grocery store, I don't buy candy. I don't buy chips. I don't buy things that are going to be harmful for me. I'm married. My family is not plant-based, and my husband loves. He is still addicted to sugar, and he understands it as an addiction now. But it took me a long time to get him to even understand why you like Coca-Cola and why you like coffee with your sugar, you know. Yeah. And I had to make him understand. Make him understand that and now you feel like you have to have it, and that's why you suffer all of these headaches. But I'm to the point where I won't even buy his Coca-Cola. Like, I'm not buying that for you. If you want it, you have to buy it.
So Nifiah, you have kids and grandkids in the house. You have a husband who is addicted to sugar. How do you navigate that? How do you stand firmly and say, no, family, I love you, and this is why this stuff is not in the house?
So, and this will be an upcoming episode because they're all coming home for Thanksgiving. And so I've been planning this for a long time. It's not a family affair. So my oldest son, he was actually the first person to try a vegan diet. And I remember us making fun of him, like, what? Because he's this big hunking guy, you know, and we're like, you're not going to be able to do that. So he was the first person who truly introduced us all to like a vegan lifestyle.
What was his reason? Do you know?
I don't know his reasons, and maybe, you know, if he gets on here, we'll get into that. We'll get into what his reasons were. I think actually, I don't know this to be fully true, but I know that one of his very best friends is a vegan. And so that could have been partly why. I don't know that to be 100% true, but that could have been partly why. And he's no longer vegan. My daughter did like a vegetarian thing for a while. Yeah. And so they were doing it even before I ever did it. And so it was, you know, it was planted in my head, like, and I'm like, they don't eat. They know how we eat. They don't eat like that. They're not going to stay on it. And they did not. And so navigating it, it's no navigating it. I am the only plant-based individual in my family. And of course, my grandkids, when they come or the kids come, they will eat the way I eat because I cook it well. They don't fight against it at all. They'll eat whatever I cook, but that's not their lifestyle.
So what's it going to look like for you?
So Thanksgiving is going to look like, our Thanksgiving is usually fully plant-based. I think I posted last year or a year before last. It's fully plant-based. So we have the traditional meals. We have greens. We have sweet potatoes. We have macaroni and cheese, but it's all plant-based. Yep, it's all plant-based. And I do lentil loaf. It's so good and so savory. It's a lentil and mushroom loaf. So you don't miss the ham and and turkey and all of that stuff. They don't do tofu at all. I'm a huge tofu fan, but they don't do tofu. So we don't do anything like a tofurkey or anything like that. I just do a lentil loaf, and everybody enjoys it. I think last year I did a plant-based lasagna.
Wow.
Everybody, oh, we don't want that. And I made it for me. I didn't even make a big one because I knew that was the attitude that people were going to have. Nobody wants that. Carmel, when I tell you they ate up my entire lasagna, the entire lasagna.
That's such a win.
There was no meat. There was no cheese. There was no eggs. It was mushrooms, spinach, fresh tomatoes, zucchini, and noodles.
And there wasn't even like the fake butters and the fake cheeses.
No fake. Oh, I did put cashew cheese on top in dollops. Cashew cheese on top in dollops.
Nice. Yeah. So, that's amazing. I don't know. Thanksgiving for me is daunting. Like that's definitely a daunting task. That is so good. So they're coming over, and they know that they're coming over this year to a plant-based Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And like I said, they won't fight against it. They know the food is going to be good.
Okay.
And so,
and you're a chef. Now you're a culinary chef trained?
Yeah.
That is so. And when did this happen in the whole like grand scheme?
Was it 2 years ago? It's just been short. It's just been a short time. Maybe like 2 years ago, I think it was.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you decided to do this on the heels of you having become whole food plant-based, and you wanted to learn how to really satisfy yourself and the people that you love, in a healthy way.
Yeah.
Wow. Did you study in person? Was this virtual? I'm so curious.
No, because during the time it was still like the virtual stuff. So I did everything virtual, but you have to do the same exact things that you would, you learn your knife skills and how to chop and all of that. And then you would have to prepare these meals, talk to the instructors about the ingredients. Some of the classes are live. You build recipes. When you test through it, you have to talk about like, how do you pair sweet and savory? How do you what would you replace with the oil? If you were using an oil previously, how do you replace that? How can you replace a cheese? It's grueling.
I love I am so interested in something like that eventually. I don't know if I can put anything else on my plate, pun intended, right now. Oh, that's amazing. So was your husband like the taste tester?
He would taste some things, not everything. So nothing with tofu in it. And it's, Carmel, honest to goodness, if I don't say it's plant-based, it's no different, and then you have to teach people greens are plants. You love greens. Sweet potatoes are plants. You love sweet potatoes. Broccoli is a plant. You love broccoli. You're not eating anything different than you were eating before. You're eliminating the things that are harmful to you. You're not eating anything different. You're just eliminating the salts, the oils, the sugars, the meat products that are harmful to you.
That part.
Everything else you can still have. And I, honest to goodness, when I talk to people about this, we are SOS free. And I always say excessive, because every now and then I'm a chef. So every now and then I will use a truffle oil. But if you know anything about cooking, you only need a half a teaspoon of any type of truffle oil. If you use any more than that, you've damaged the whole entire dish.
Right. Because the truffle oil is really for flavoring, no?
It's really for flavoring. And so in those cases, but I don't deep fry anything. I don't intentionally add oil unless it's a truffle oil or a special oil, and that's few and far between.
What about sesame oil? I sometimes add sesame oil, like a half a teaspoon.
Yes, sesame oil. Sesame oil is an oil I'll use, but again, that is so rare. I'm not doing that every day. I'm not adding that into every meal. Even meals that require that, I don't I won't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because you
I
can
get it.
use different flavors to get that. So if you're cooking, just for instance, quickly, an Asian dish, you can do a rice vinegar. You know, you can do a sesame vinegar. You don't have to do an oil.
Okay, okay. Sesame vinegar. I've never heard of a sesame vinegar.
So if you have you're in Jersey or New York?
I'm in New York, Queens, New York.
Okay, so you have a bunch of Asian stores. Go into one of those stores.
Okay.
They'll have it for you.
Okay.
And it may not say sesame vinegar. It'll say, I can't call it off the top of my head. But it's a liquid. It's not a paste or an oil. It's a liquid. Yeah.
Okay. Good to know. See?
Yeah.
There are ways around it. And I feel like a lot of people's hang up is that it's too hard, right? First of all, I don't think enough of us spend as much time in the kitchen as we should.
Right.
Taking care. Like, I feel like if everybody cooked for themselves, even if they were still eating meat, and even if they were still eating butter, salt, oil, and sugar, everybody would still be so much healthier than the way we are now, right? And then if they learn to cook, to add more plants to their plates, even better. And once you start letting go of the salt, oil, and sugar and all of the meat products, which is really detrimental to our health, then the optimal health would follow. Reversing diagnoses would follow. People would really be living with vitality and running marathons and doing all kinds of sports and not sitting in front of the TV because they just have way too much good energy.
Exactly.
To be lying around doing nothing. Oh, so good. What else did I talk
Coach
about?
Carmel, I'm sure you get this from your clients. I get it all the time. Why can't I eat meat? Why can't I eat meat? I only eat chicken. I only eat salmon. I only eat seafood. What's the problem with the meat? And it's truly, 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 the meat is not the problem. It's what is done to the meat.
100%.
Now the meat is filled with steroids and hormones. The fish is not fresh fish anymore. A lot of this fish is farm raised. So it is also getting some level of hormones or feeding that we don't even know what they're feeding, the fish. And the fish that is fresh right out of the ocean, our oceans are horribly toxic right now.
Yes, yes.
And so that's what you're putting in your body when you're eating these meats.
And the animals, and they're not even feeding the animals what they would naturally be eating in nature. So the animals at zoos for our entertainment are fed much better than the animals that are raised for our nutrition.
Exactly.
Why is that backwards? Like, why is that backwards? And I say to all my clients, listen, if I lived on a farm with cows and pigs and chickens, if I lived on a farm, I would not be whole food plant-based. There would be no need for it.
Yeah. But then you know what you're
feeding. Because I know what I'm feeding with animals. And I know the practices, and I know that they're eating healthy foods which in turn would put nutrition and health into my body.
Right.
And it's a different kind of like even it's a different kind of a relationship. That's the word I'm looking for with that animal, because I'm Haitian. I remember my mother buying live chickens, and then the chicken was on my table. I remember being in Haiti and watching them cut the chicken's neck. I remember there was a goat in one of my cousin's backyard one day, and the next day we were eating goat. And it's different. That goat was eating real grass, not the grains that are produced in unnatural ways,
right,
to feed these animals. So there's a process, and there's also rituals around it, because we know and understand that this is all part of nature and the order of things. And it wasn't every day. We weren't eating that stuff every day. Most of the stuff was plant-based, and every once in a while, if there was some kind of a celebration.
Right.
And
that's the difference. People always talking about, oh, my grandparents lived to 98, to 95. They ate this. I don't know why you all are pushing this plant-based, but nearly 100 years ago, We didn't have hormones. We weren't pumping the animals with antibiotics. And another thing you said, that was not anything they were eating every day. It wasn't even accessible like that. It was for celebration, for a reason. Otherwise, they were eating plant-based. They were eating the plants from the land.
Yes, from the land. Yes. Amazing, amazing. I love talking to you. So, I want to circle back around to what you said very, very early on in the conversation, that you were seeing people come into the hospital or into the medical room and they were ill, but they were young.
Mm-hmm.
We have this idea that sick people are older people.
Right.
And they're sick because they're now frail, they've lived their life, things are shutting down, they don't work as well. But now you get this influx of younger people. Tell me what you went through when you were saying, wait a second, why are all these people young with all these diagnoses?
Well, just like you said, we tend to think that people who are sicker in the hospital are older people. When I worked in the ICU, even when I was in ambulatory care, so in a clinic that you would walk in for an appointment, my patient age range was like from 20 to 46, 48. And I would say 95% of these people were there because they had had a stroke, had a heart attack, were overweight, dealing with diabetes, they had lost a limb. Young people. And then when I got to see it even more. So in the ICU, if you don't know anything about the ICU, that's intensive care. These people, when they come to that unit, they are very sick. They're needing ventilators. They're needing special treatment. They have to be in the hospital in order to, with the hopes that they will survive. And the unfortunate part of it, a lot of them didn't survive. A lot of them didn't survive. And so that in itself was a tough job. And as I can, go ahead.
So Nifiah, would you say that the people that you were seeing in the ICU unit that was between 20 and 48 years old, they were there due to lifestyle conditions,
A very high percentage of them were there due to, like, a lot of them were men. We had women as well, but a lot of them were men. A lot of them were Black men because, number one, they ignore their health. They're not going to go, they don't trust healthcare, or they don't go see a doctor. And so it's out of control. It wasn't managed. And that's the issue with Western medicine. We manage it. We manage your diseases. We manage your sicknesses. And it doesn't have to be managed. You don't have to live with it at all.
Right.
At all. And that's what I teach my patients and clients. It's not a death sentence. You don't have to have it. It's a choice. And I know people say, oh, sickness and illness are not a choice. There are some diseases that are not a choice. 100%. However, even some cancers can be prevented if you stop eating sugar. Right. Cancer grows cancer is fed by sugar. And this is something I never understood in healthcare. If you've ever been to a cancer or oncology center, they feed these patients donuts, cookies, sodas, juice, every type of sugar you could possibly feed them. And if you go right now, if you go and Google, how does cancer grow? It feeds off sugar.
It feeds off of sugar.
So why are you feeding these cancer patients sugar? I never understood that. Never understood it. But that's what I want to disrupt. That's why I want to disrupt the status quo of healthcare. Because we do things like I like to say bass backwards.
Yeah. We need you, Nifiah. We need you to speak up. We need you to do your thing and be that person. Yeah, to disrupt all of that. Yeah. Hey, listen, I'll be on your right hand. I'll be right there. I'll be like, let's do it.
And we need you. I'm so thankful for you, and congratulations to you. I get to tell you in person, congratulations on your show. And you are what? How old are you?
50. Never looked so good.
Right? Say it again. 50 and doing a bodybuilding show and looking absolutely phenomenal. But
Thank you.
again, that's intentionality.
It was
Intentionality led you to that. There are not many 50-year-olds who are going to get up on a stage in a bodybuilding suit, two-piece suit, and be confident and look good doing it.
right. And I'm not an anomaly, right? Because I was competing with other women that were
Right.
my age doing
Yeah.
their thing. Now they were not plant-based. It wasn't a plant-based show. Nifiah, I wanted to do it. I don't know how many people have seen my thing, but I wanted to do it to show people, yes, we can build muscle and be and live a life full of vitality as a whole food plant-based vegan. We can do it with in perimenopause and menopausal states. We can do it as a 50-year-old person. You know, it's the intentionality. And this is the part that I keep forgetting to tell people. I did not have a gym membership. I literally worked out at home. So all of those things, when people say, oh, I don't have the equipment, excuse.
No.
Oh, I'm too old, excuse. There was a man who competed on stage. He was 78 years old.
See, you can do it. Making intentional decisions, you can live a life of vitality through nutrition. And like Carmel said, it was not a plant-based bodybuilding show.
No.
However, if look at what she did and competed with those who are eating meat as a protein, drinking the sugar-filled protein supplements, you know.
Yeah, milk and all of those. And I placed in each of my 4 divisions.
Awesome.
Plant-based, y'all. The power of the plant. Thank you.
That's amazing.
Let me see. Okay. Before we say goodbye, I just wanted to revisit what you were experiencing before you discovered whole food plant-based. You said that you were like your patients. You were suffering from the same things. You were just as sick as, if not sicker, than some of your patients. You were pre-diabetic. You had high cholesterol. You were suffering with depression. You were a little bit overweight, and you had migraines, and you were suffering with sleeplessness. And how soon, like, I'm sure if all of those things were happening to you, Nifiah, sorry, I'm sure if all of those, you were experiencing all those things, that was, you kind of felt like crap, but that was your norm.
There it is. And I was going to say that it was normal because I had been experiencing it so long. It was normal. I didn't initially recognize that I was sick. It was the headaches that just really got me, the migraine headaches that got me, and they were caused by red dye 40. And so we go back to the candy. My favorite candies were Swedish fish, red vines, literally anything that was red. Anything that was red. And
how did you learn that it was specifically red dye 40?
It was more than that, but red dye 40 gives me a headache. And so it took me actually experimenting on myself as a scientist. So I had not eaten any candy. And you might not even know this. I just told you I'm a potato chip fiend. Red dye 40, and I like spicy stuff. So I would eat the spicy chips. Your spicy chips are not barbecue sauce or seasonings. That's red dye 40 that makes them red. So stop eating them. It's poison. Anyway, I had cut out all of the sugar, recognized that the headaches were resolving. And I said, I think I read an article or something, and I just, like people who don't understand this lifestyle, I was like, that can't be. I've been eating this my whole life. That can't be. So I'm probably off of it for about 3 months. Hadn't had anything red. I go get a package of red vines. I'm like, I'm going to see. I eat 2 red vines. Not joking. Instant headache. Instant headache. And still to this day, a couple of years ago, I talked about it in the program that we're in early on. A couple of years ago, they had some holiday sodas or something, but they didn't have high fructose corn syrup or whatever. But guess what? One of them had in it red dye. I drink this and I am sick for days because now it's been years since I was sick for days. Like it took me out. And I was just like, this is horrible. But the migraines, the depression, and people don't understand the food you eat. When you're putting bad things into your body, it affects your mind.
It does.
And then you start to be affected with mental health concerns.
Yeah.
The
foods that we eat literally affect every single function in our bodies, whether we feel it today or it manifests in a way that we can see it, feel it, touch it, and medicate it in 5, 10, 15, 30 years. It's pretty phenomenal. And it's interesting when I listen to doctors' podcasts where doctors don't even see the correlation between food and diseases. And they're like, there's no way. Like if go ahead.
Let me speak to that.
Yes, please do.
I talk about and I know we're ending, but that is such a good note to end on. Your doctor, your physician, your healthcare providers are not going to speak to food and diseases because healthcare providers are not required to learn about nutrition. The majority of your healthcare providers have only take one nutrition class, maybe 2 nutrition classes, unless that is their specialty. But you don't have many practicing physicians whose specialty is nutrition or lifestyle medicine. That's a newer thing. So your doctor that has been practicing for 25, 30 years, they had 1 nutrition class. I can pull out my transcripts. I only had 2 nutrition classes going through nursing. So we just don't have the knowledge.
Yeah.
That's what it is. We don't have the knowledge, and we're taught our whole lives that you need milk, cheese, meat, dairy. You need your milk for your calcium and your cheese for your calcium. And that's what they're taught. And they haven't, got the newest research.
Yeah.
To learn
and
that.
All the things that I know is healthy for me, you're telling me that that's making me sick.
Oh yeah.
Kind of like, yeah.
My doctor, even when I told her I was gonna adopt a vegan diet, she was like, you should not do that. You're not gonna get enough protein. You're gonna be sick. You're not gonna have any energy. And from that point, I fired her. I have not been to my doctor since then because I said, this woman is trying to kill me. It really, like when she gave me my diagnosis, she also prescribed me, I want to say 6 medications at that visit where I got my diagnosis of high cholesterol, migraines, and prediabetes. I want to say it was 6 medications. And then she's telling me when I go back a year later, and I'm like, this is not what you're telling me to do is not working. What else we're going to do?
Yeah.
This is what I want to do. And when she said, no, don't do that. I was like, yeah, she's trying to kill me.
Wow.
I'm laughing about it because I know better now. But then that I just felt like
somebody else's reality, Nifiah.
Right.
Somebody else. And you said something else too. It's the education piece, the research. You said to your research, folks. And we could even, this is beautiful for us to even end on. The research was key for me because I became whole food plant-based out of curiosity, and I ended up reversing my prediabetes, and then eventually everything was a process. It was all a journey. But when I jumped down that rabbit hole, and that's when I came out and I said, I know too much. Now I can't go back. I know too much because I was just doing it temporarily as for curiosity's sake. And I was just like, oh, no. But it's the research that's key. It's the education, the literacy part that's key. So if any of you are curious, plant curious, you can listen. Dr. Google will have a lot of information for you. It's for you to discern it, right? You can reach out to Nifiah. You can reach out to any of our peers. You can reach out to me. You can just just dive down the rabbit hole like we did and see for yourself and make the decision for you, for nobody else. And once you've made that decision, hold fast, hold on to that decision, and know that, there are things that's going to come along with it, like boundaries, and people are going to, feel a way about themselves and deflect that onto you, things of that nature. But I'm so happy I found this lifestyle. I'm so happy I found this
Yes.
lifestyle.
I will never go back. Never go back. I just will never go back. And I thank you for having me. I feel like we need to do a part 2 of this.
We are
There
doing
is
a part 2, Kitty. Next week, I'm going to be on your YouTube channel.
we need to keep talking about this and reach the masses. I thank you so much for having me on your show. This has been wonderful. And I look forward to us connecting again to save our people.
100%. Let's save them. Let's save them. I have no problem putting on that cape. Direct comment to save the day. Nifiah, thank you. Thank you for being so gracious and to say yes. It's been a little while. We've been trying to connect for a minute, but we made it happen, and we're going to make it happen again, hopefully as early as next week on your YouTube channel. Watch out for us, folks. And thanks for joining. And when we put this on your YouTube, hi Nifiah's followers. Thank you for watching. If you have not already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe, like, and share. I always try to come out with not only the things that I rant and rave about, but what other people are doing and how their journey transformed their lives. Nifiah, I love your story. Thank you again for being here.
Thank you for having me. It was a good time.
It was a good time for sure. Bye, folks. Bye.